Hello, everyone. Dean Bowles here from Ontario, and on a frosty Saturday morning, the few days before we have the return to swimming. I'm not sure what round of this is during this pandemic, but we know that we've all have felt it and had about enough of it for sure. But I'm fortunate enough to have Dr. Judy Goss, mental performance consultant, longtime consultant, friend to swimming, working with athletes, coaches, programs from grassroots right to the world championship and Olympic levels. And so thank you, Judy, for being with us. And we look forward to the conversation that's going to take place. Also have Heather Bruce, North York Aquatic Club. She is the director of coaches and also been very much a strong advocate, but also a presenter during our pandemic for Swim Ontario on grassroots and just having conversations around, the whole dynamic of swimming here in Ontario. And today is one of those ones. We're going to address some of the things that are coming. This coming week, we're going to be returning, and hopefully all will be back to where we were before Christmas time. Hopefully that is the goal. We know that there's a lot of, anxiety and a lot of excitement to go with that, and we're going to talk about that. So practices will take place. There will be competitions, the return to competitions in one way or another as we try to do this. I know that some of the words that come to mind: frustrating, angry, confused, fearful, worrisome. And we know all that, and there's many other words. We know those, and ones we can't maybe say today. But we also know there's the words that have been basically the staple or the foundation to why you're in sport and what sport reveals. And that's the resilience, the adaptability, some patience, obviously, but also there is a positive thing. And I really have to give a shout out to the clubs and the coaches. The coaches and the clubs have done a tremendous job during this time, following the protocols, making things good and safe. To the swimmers and the parents for having the belief in the clubs and the swimming programs to follow through with what's there, and to our facilities. We are very grateful to have them on board. I know that they have lots of responsibilities, but as we move forward and as we hopefully move forward without any further interruption, we shall see things open up much better. To where what I sometimes call near normal, but that may never be. It could be better. We don't know. So I'll leave it to you two ladies to have a conversation, and really, again, appreciate you making time. And hopefully everybody here that will watch this will get something from it. And by all means, if they have questions or concerns, please send it to Swim Ontario. I just say info@swimontario.com, and we will then do a follow-up to this presentation. So over to you, Judy. Over to you, Heather. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dean.
Thanks, Dean. So the first question we talked about was start, stop, start, stop. It seems to be happening a lot. And we were wondering if there was anything coaches and athletes and parents could keep in mind through this time. And I have a few things, or did you want to start?
You go ahead.
you can help me. I was thinking everyone should be focusing on the here and now. If you look further ahead, it could become overwhelming. Yes, we do hope it will get better, but it could be overwhelming to even think of it getting better because we're used to being in a certain pattern. And if you look back, it could also make you sad or frustrated. So looking at the now would be a healthier approach.
Certainly it would. And I think, it's almost like this start stop. It's almost like doing interval training, right? We're used to it. And I think one of the things we have to remember about dealing with uncertainty is that we do deal with a lot of uncertainty anyways. When we go to school and we go to class, we're not sure what the teacher's going to teach us. We have some idea of what's going to happen. When we go to training, we don't know what sets the coaches are going to give with us, but we kind of go with it. So there's a lot of uncertainty naturally in our lives, right? And I think that it's true that we can focus on what's happening right now. It really will keep us moving forward. And that's really what we want. Sometimes we know there's going to be a swim meet in the future. Okay. We're not exactly sure when it is, but what can I do starting on Monday that's going to help me move forward to that swim meet? There's lots of little things that all the swimmers can focus on, whether it's streamlining off the wall, whether it's eating a little bit better each day, all those small things that are really going to make a little 1% impact. And that's really what we want. It's natural for us to think forward, but let's think about what are the things that I can control and that I can do. And then also going to make me feel like I'm making progress. That's one thing that's really been difficult, I think, Heather, for the athletes is when I'm in the water and I'm swimming and I'm, holding my repeats at a decent interval. I know that's good. I get a sense of feeling that I'm mastering or I'm feeling competent at what I do. When I've been at home doing, a Zoom yoga class, I don't get as much I'm doing a good job, or
Right.
I don't get that coach yelling, hey, good job, or I know that I beat my teammate beside me. I don't get that sense of accomplishment. And
Sure.
so that's one thing that we kind of want to focus on when we get back in the water is where am I now? And let's get a little bit better each day.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'd also say it's also important to remember that we've done this before and we can do it again. We've been here before. And I also think we are in a better place than we were. Like thinking about all those little goals you just spoke about in the water. We established those in the fall, and we didn't have that in the fall when we started. So we are actually in a better place. We know the pools we are swimming in. The swimmers and parents know the coaches. The coaches know their swimmers. They know what makes their group function well. They've had a time trial or two in the fall, so they've learned from those experiences. We know we can bounce back. We've done it. We've done it so many times. As Dean said, we don't even know what shutdown this is anymore. But we can draw from that base that was developed in the fall. And speaking to what you were talking about in the water, those character traits have already been developed in the fall and your seasons past, the perseverance, the discipline, the resilience, the working hard. They're all there. They'll come back when we go back to the pool. They never left us as swimmers and coaches. I also think coaches and swimmers didn't stop when the pool shut down. So to your point, yoga classes were going on, dry land was going on. You could have been skiing, you could have been shoveling, you could have been walking your dogs, you could have just been playing in the snow. Those are all skills that will transfer to the pool. Coaches didn't stop. They were on Zoom calls talking to each other. I was on many, many talks across Canada and Ontario. I saw and heard that the coaches speaking and planning for the next part of the season. Trust them. They're just as excited to get back to the pool as you are. So I had heard that. And I think back to your points, flexibility and patience are key. We have to be flexible and we have to be patient.
Well, exactly. And I think that a lot of people don't really realize that sometimes when we do reflect back on what we did, what happened in the, last shutdown, whatever amount of time it's been, we can learn things about ourselves. And that's a really beneficial thing. Sometimes when we're always trying to move forward, we don't look back as much. And I think with these kind of start and stops, we can. And I've, encouraged all coaches and athletes to kind of think a little bit about what you've learned about yourself during, COVID, the whole COVID thing, or just these kind of start and stops. What keeps you motivated? What's something that you really enjoy doing? What's something that you've maybe learned a little bit about yourself that you can apply in the future so that you're even more, as we'd say, productive, happy, motivated, all that kind of stuff. So I think that we, we can certainly find those alternatives, just like you said, going out and jogging, or going out and, shoveling, all those kinds of things that are going to add to our ability to kind of be a little bit less narrow in our focus, a little bit
Yes.
broader, which helps our body and helps our mind.
Exactly. Just, readjusting all the time. I think we've all had to do that. I hate the word pivot, but we had to many times over the past few years. So opening your mind to all the skills you already have, and physical and emotional and mental skills that are already there, for sure. Talking about goals that swimmers could focus on, I was thinking that, and again, it kind of goes back to what we were just saying, sport has shifted over the past few years to value-based sport. And what I've heard from coaches in our talks and planning is that they're not necessarily focusing on the technical skills right off the bat when they get back to the pool. They're looking at developing social skills and group dynamics, connecting, encouraging swimmers to do their best, creating a safe space mentally and physically. It's very, very important. That's constant conversation around that. Ensuring the swimmers have fun and enjoy themselves coming back to the pool. Resetting responsibilities, getting all your gear together ahead of time and organizing yourself so that you get to the pool on time. Little guys, 6 to 8 years old, we have in the club, being able to walk from the door of TPAS all the way through the halls down to the pool and saying hi to the friends without crying, without losing their stuff along the way, and being organized and ready to go. Those are values. Having that responsibility are values and goals that will transfer into the bigger swim goals in the end. Ultimately, those values will work their way into the performance goals of excellence and determination.
Well, and I think that to me, some of those are what I generally call just process goals. It's the how to actually get to that end goal of that time, or that competition, or that qualifier, whatever it may be. What are the things I need to kind of do on a daily basis that are going to help that? And I bring that back down to just building some of those habits that you have. And I think the one thing that we kind of, maybe we're at the new year and we get a little caught up in the New Year's resolution kind of thing, right? Is what can I do that's going to, be something that I can consistently do? And I think sometimes we get a little bit too big, too quick. And we really trying to build some of the consistency over what I kind of call the intensity. I'd get someone says, I want to eat better. That's a great, overall goal, but let's start very small. Let's eat an apple as our snack before we go to swimming, something like that. Just start really small and let's build that consistency for us, so that then we add something. Well, I'll eat an apple and I'll have more vegetables at dinner. Slowly start to add to that. It's almost what we call, and we can almost do what they call habit stacking. So one of the things that I know that I did once, the kids moved out, I had a bottle of vitamin D and I was like, oh, I'll finish off this bottle of vitamin D. It'll be good for my muscles and everything. And I put it by the kitchen sink, and never had one. I took it to the office. This was when I was going to the office. And I never, by my computer, I didn't have one. And finally, what I did is I put it upstairs by my toothbrush, because I have obviously a consistent habit of brushing my teeth. So at night when I'm brushing my teeth and I see the vitamin D bottle right there, I'm like, oh, I can take it. So we put those two habits together and I was successful. I'm on my third bottle of vitamin D by now, right?
You're full of sunshine.
Full of sunshine. There you go. But sometimes it's kind of combining those small little habits together and getting some consistency with that. So I'd really encourage, same thing. I can pack my swim bag, the night before. So it's all done before I go to bed and I'm ready in the morning or for the next day, whatever that might be, is really building on those small habits that are, responsibility, taking it up the next step as a young swimmer, those things, parents can also help their children kind of do those things so that they become a little bit more responsible.
I agree, and I think it's being creative in your goal setting too. If you want some, it just has to go beyond the pool. Otherwise, it will be hard to wake up at 4:30 in the morning on Monday and get to the pool after sleeping in for 6 weeks. You have to find reasons, go back to those values, or go back to your character traits, pull them out and think about why you're going to get to the pool. And it might be a goal in the pool is looking at the pace clock and making sure you're going on the pace time a few times within the workout. Don't be so hard on yourself, and celebrate the successes that you have when you meet a goal. It could be a little goal or a big goal, but celebrate those successes and remember them for those times when it's really hard.
Yeah, celebrate the small wins, as we
Yes.
say, right? Celebrate the small wins, right?
Yeah, and learn from the ones when they don't work out. Why didn't they work out?
Well, and the thing is, I say to all athletes, and especially swimmers, is you do things that are tough every day. Like that's, swimming is tough. It's, it's pushing yourself. It's meeting the challenge. And that's really a thing we want, athletes to be okay with, is that a lot of it is a challenge, and seeing it as a challenge, as opposed to, oh no, this is terrible, I'm never going to be able to do this. Okay, this is something that's tough. I'm going to try it. Let's see if it works. Let's try my best through these kinds of things, and let's see how far I can go.
I've also heard from the coaches. I always have to pull the coaches in because I advocate for coaches whenever I can. And I've had many, many conversations over the past few weeks with them. And it's the same thing. Don't be so hard on yourself. I've heard that many, many times. Like they look back in the fall and when they were upset that a practice didn't go the way they thought, they'd be hard on themselves. They'd go home and think, oh, that was terrible. Now, after a few weeks of shutdown and Christmas break, they look back and they say, the swimmers got something out of that. I got something out of that. Rejigging the goals that they had for that workout, and being again flexible, and just again celebrating what they got out of that practice, and not being so hard on themselves. Because if they're always hard on themselves, they'll burn out too. And the coaches are so important to the success of swimming, obviously.
Well, and the thing it is really tough not to do, and it depends obviously how old the swimmer is not to compare ourselves to what we'd say would be a normal January. Yes. Well, in January, I'm normally doing this, right? Yes. We got to lose those dates and what normally happens, and we got to get back to where we are right now. So one thing that, what I probably encourage, the coaches to do is do some, as we might say, sets that allow the kids to kind of see where they're at, right? See where I'm at. If I normally do 10 50s and I can hold, 40 seconds on whatever, let's do something so I can see, am I at 42? Okay, so now this is where I'm starting. Okay, so let's get better. It's the same thing that I often talk about to swimmers. Like if we're starting back after our little break, it's September. We're going to set goals. We're going to have our first meet in the end of October, November, and everybody wants to swim a best time. And it's like, well, is that really going to happen when we've just come back? We're just probably loading everybody up. Everybody's going to be a little tired. Do you really think it's realistic for you to swim a best time now? Some kids have grown. They've certainly gotten better from a year ago. That may happen. So let's not, judge ourselves too harshly on where we are in, various things. You might, your 50s might be good, but the hundreds and the twos might not be as good, just because your conditioning's not as great. So let's start and get an idea where you're at, and let's build on just improving from there, right? And that we tend to be a little less critical. We also know that, just by nature, February is always a tough month. It doesn't matter if we're in COVID or we're not. It's snowy, it's cold. usually a little darker than the
Dark.
bright sunshine we have right now today. But you're doing hard training, so it's going to be a little tough, and your times may not be the best thing in the world, but that's okay. We got to kind of frame it in a way of how we're making progress.
Exactly. Find those wins, find the wins, and don't be so hard on yourself. And speaking about February, motivation will come and go for sure. And it's again going back to those goals. It's the same thing with motivation. You've got to try and find different ways in swimming to motivate yourself. It doesn't necessarily have to be a best time. We know there's meets coming. We're not for sure, 100% for sure. So you've got to find what will motivate you to get through these dark days of February. And we know that motivation comes and goes within the sport. It's a tough sport. You have to jump into a pool and get wet on cold days. I often say when parents or swimmers come to me, go to the coach, work with the coach, try and find a solution. Don't just see a problem and stop. Work towards a solution together. Remember those values and character traits when you are not feeling motivated. I also say look to your teammates. We've been talking about this a lot in coaching. Your teammates are there to work together, to build those skills, to bond in a positive and healthy way, and to encourage each other to perform. And they should be your friends, not all of them, but they are, and they should be your community, and you should draw on that support from your team.
Yeah, well, and as you said, motivation does kind of, as we'd say, ebb and flow. It's not going to be, you're not going to be highly motivated every day. And one of the kind of, little analogies I use is we want it to be above zero, especially in, weather things.
Yeah.
You're going to drop down into the negatives. You're not going to want to go, but on average, we want it to be above zero, as we'd say, right?
Yes.
In terms of the temperature. So, there are factors around it. The environment around us can impact our motivation.
Sure.
And one of the things that we know that does, keep our motivation high is the connection that we have with our teammates, our coaches, our friends, our family. If we're feeling connected, we're enjoying the people around us, that will help us want to go there and want to do those kinds of things, right? It's always easier if I'm going to go for a run is to go for a run with other people than just go by myself. So coaches and parents need to remember that having the swimmers, be able to connect with their teammates. And sometimes I know it's hard with all COVID protocols, but we do need a little bit of social time. I know that when my daughter was swimming and we'd go to a swim meet, if she'd want to be there, I don't know, an hour, before the meet started, we'd get there like an hour and 20 minutes. So she had her time to chat with her friends, because that was part of the experience, is being able to reconnect. And I did not want her to do that and take away from her warm up, but I didn't want her to feel that she had to rush through that either. So really feeling connected to your teammates, your friends, your coaches is another thing. Like I said before, building that sense of competency that I am doing things that I'm getting better at, that I have some understanding of what I am accomplishing. And one of the things that's been really hard during COVID is really having a sense of autonomy for the kids, is that I have I can choose what I'm doing. I have a choice of what's going on, which has been hard because we've been told we can't swim, and that's not my choice, right? I can't do these things, which really takes away from my, my sense of I can choose what I'm doing. So we need to kind of give that back to the kids a little bit. It's making sure that they're feeling that they have choices. Do you guys want to do this? Do you want to do that? Can we add something different? And mixing it up is, I know, a challenge for the coaches and whatnot, but doing some things that are a little bit different and what we kind of term as fun will always add to the motivation as well.
Well, there's a lot of learning that comes from fun, that's for sure.
Mm.
And it is a very, very important value. And I hear it a lot out there, how important fun is as part of sport, for sure. And the coaches talked a lot about that when they reflected back to the fall, how they just wanted them to have fun. And we're talking about that for the next few weeks. Reestablish joy. My grassroots coaches, I said, all I want is joy next week. Find the joy to come back to the pool for the youngest ones, and the learning will come. The learning will come. And I think also looking to your coach, if you're I think swimmers tend to look to each other first, depending on the age, but I think for the most part, they do look to each other for their motivation, but they can look to their coach as well. And I also really believe that coaches, parents, and swimmers all need to work together for success. And I know that there is real struggle out there. I see it firsthand within clubs, or in our club for sure. There is some real struggle, mental health struggle, and it can't be just on the coach's shoulders. The parents need to be involved, the swimmers need to be involved to work together to get through it, because it is tough right now for many.
Well, and it certainly is. And we certainly don't want to gloss over and say that everybody should be motivated and happy to get back to swimming. Okay. There are going to be anxious feelings. There are going to be, worries and concern. That is completely normal and natural.
Yes.
However, we don't want to hold that stuff in. If you're having concerns or worrying, we certainly want to ask for support, ask for help. And so if you are speaking to another teammate and as a teammate, if you're a little worried or concerned about someone, let's go talk to your coach or talk to your parents about it. For sure, there's support and help out there, because people really are experiencing some real challenges. And we just want to make sure everybody's going to feel, a little bit anxious or, a little bit sad about certain things. But if those feelings persist for a longer period of time, we really need to, reach out, ask for help, that kind of thing. And also if they're disrupting what we do on a daily basis, okay, that's another thing that's a real warning sign. If I can't get out of bed, I know 4:30 comes early and it is hard to get out of bed, but if it's really impacting what I do on a daily basis, then we need to reach out to support. And just like Dean said, that info@swimontario.ca, if there's any questions or concern, if you want some resources, we can certainly hook you up or find that for you. So please reach out.
I know I reached back out about, I don't know when in the pandemic, for mental health resources for my coaches. And Stu came back with a long list of links, and I'm still using them. So it's out there if you feel like you're, over your head, for sure. But the important thing is to acknowledge those feelings and to talk about them.
That was great.
Good.
That was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed that. It picked me up. I mean, the sunshine is helpful. Hearing what you were saying, and I think it's going to resonate with so many, whether they're the ones that have been able to continue their swimming, or the ones that are just been on pause and now are returning. And we have a season ahead of us. Definitely, we have opportunities ahead of us. We work towards not having any more pauses and interruptions, obviously, but we do know it will get better. We're in a way better position than we were a year ago or further back. And you framed things so well today. It was great. So we will have resources available, as you said, Heather, that we've been logging in on our website. If you have questions after today, for those who've watched this, that you can just send info@swimontario.com. We'll do a little scrum at some point in time, get some answers back to all of us. And we have so much to look forward to, and we're going to deliver on that. Everybody's going to do their part. They've done a tremendous job so far. Amazing. Between, as I said, the clubs, the coaches, the facilities, the parents, the swimmers. And we have a lot of role models that have persevered and made things happen under harsh and crazy conditions. And we're going to probably get to watch a little bit of that on the winter side of things with the Olympics just around the corner again. And I'm going to say there is a secret coming. you'll be known for the swimming community. There's a lot of good things that are going to happen here in Ontario, exciting things that people will be able to watch. So lots of good stuff to come. So thank you very much, Judy. Thank you very much, Heather. Really appreciate your time, but more so all your experience and just how you frame things and how you look at things. Very, very rewarding for, I think, our athletes and parents and coaches. So thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day. Stay warm. And we're going to see all of us on the deck very soon.
Thanks, Dean.
Thank you.